5 things business owners get wrong about AI agents. Unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably seeing things on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram of all these crazy things people are doing online with AI agents. Whether it's trading money for them, whether it's just spinning up websites and interesting business ideas from scratch, to somehow landing clients for people, to coding up various different projects that are just shipped to production. There's a ton of things out there and it's just too much to track. But nonetheless, the technology is here and clearly you understand that there's a massive shift happening in the world of AI and how it can actually be practically used for personal cases and your business. In this video, I'll talk about 5 things business owners get wrong about AI agents and what they actually mean instead. The first common thing that people come to me for is coming with the hopes of that if they just get an AI agent like OpenClaw or something like that, that they'll just magically be able to prompt it and it'll just spin up a business. While on one hand, that's true, on the other hand, it's not. And the reason why is because if you just say download OpenClaw or say some other agentic system on a computer, a server, wherever, you're not just going to magically have a business appear out of nowhere with an LLC, with a full-blown website, with a bunch of tool integrations, with full context of who you are as a business owner and what your offer is. Well, on one hand, sure, you can prompt it, you can kind of outline the whole entire offering, who you're trying to serve, what you're trying to do exactly, what kind of product and offer you're trying to create for the world. But on the other hand, it's not like this agent comes with all these integrations and all this context of everything that you're trying to do. What you're really doing when you're installing an agent on a computer like OpenClaw or something like that is you're really just installing the base engine of allowing this thing to run with a base body. It comes with a stock body of, say, a set of pre-built skills, some templated structured files, and various different ways how it can work with itself, such as how to use memory, this idea of heartbeats, using tools. Maybe you'll import maybe a scale file or some hooks for the AI to use, which are pretty much like pre-built instructions to do something. It's like buying a stock car with a very limited set of things it can do. But if you're really trying to push the car to its absolute limit and to get this thing to stretch beyond what it can potentially do, then what you have to do is you have to build out the integrations, the skills, the agents that can actually run a full entire operation. It's not like if you just download OpenClaw or say you work with another agent system that this thing's just going to be able to spin up a whole entire real estate business or some sort of software company. However, if you do build the skill files for, say, being able to connect it to Vercel, or being able to connect it to Firebase, or being able to connect it to some sort of database on the back end, you surely can spin up a whole entire software project. But just from the out of the box, you're not going to do that. And that's not the expectation that the internet should be putting on you, that you think you can just do this right away. In fact, I would argue that whenever you're working with AI agents, they are way more effective at implementing and integrating them into a current life case scenario of you actually running a real business right now or working with a client that is getting a lot of volume, from tasks getting done to workflows, SOPs that are clearly established. It's way better to optimize efficiency or like operational procedures that are actually happening on a day-to-day basis, because you know what to automate. You know what kind of sub-agents to create. You know exactly what kind of skill files, tool integrations, communication channels where you can simply plug in the AI. It has a lot of context to work with, and you just fine tweak it from there in order to do things more effectively. Whereas, say, I'm not saying it's impossible to start a business with AI agents or that it can't make you money from the jump. On one hand, it's not just going to do everything from the jump. But on the other hand, if you give it some basic tools, skills, maybe some research capabilities, maybe access to a few accounts, then sure, maybe it can go out there and trade for you or make some investment decisions. Or maybe say it can build you some sort of software product if you get the necessary integrations in place. This is highly realistic and it is possible, but don't just think that if you install this thing on some machine or server that you're just going to have it build a full-fledged business with a bunch of customers knocking at your door in the next day or week. The other misconception is that while you hear the word AI agents around and you're just kind of wondering what the heck is an AI agent, it's not just another chatbot where you're just simply having a back and forth conversation to it. The biggest difference of like what an AI agent is and what an AI language model is with on a simple chat interface is that what an AI agent can do is not only has memory that can persist through various different conversations and new contexts that you put it in, but also it has the ability to call tools, which mean it can call various different softwares to pull either some sort of information, some function to say, check out, like let's say I give it an integration into Canva. If my AI agent has access to my Canva account, it can look at all the folders I have. It can maybe edit one of my ebooks. It can maybe write a full entire ebook. It can maybe say, call another tool, say from like Gemini, call a tool from the API to generate an image, pull the image, and then put it into my Canva. And now my Canva ebook has an image that it got from using a Gemini API. And what's more after tools, and I think this is the biggest one of all, it can understand the intent from the user, which then creates a sort of goal. It creates the goal and maps out a sequence of steps, and then it proceeds to create a task list of things that it has to do in order to achieve the goal. And this is the biggest advantage of what an AI agent is versus just a simple chat model. The agent can go out there, execute a series of tasks to execute and achieve a goal that is set out by the user, whether on a scheduled basis, whether there is a source of truth like a task management board where everything is laid out, or if I am just prompting the AI agent to go do something. So for instance, if I prompt it, go research my competition in real estate in California in this specific town, let's say like Natomas for instance, and also let's assume it's connected to a CRM where I manage all my prospects, like say HubSpot or something like that. It's going to go out and do the research. Maybe it's going to compare and contrast my current list versus new potential leads it can add into my prospect sourcing column or something like that. And then from there, it's going to do the research and figure out who's new, who we could potentially add into the CRM, and then say, source 10 new leads. Once it sources 10 new leads after doing its due diligence, checking the tools, what kind of leads we already have inside of the CRM. And this also really depends on like the instruction set. Did you prompt it to do that, or does it know how to do that from its own memory? But once it's done, it achieved the task, it's going to message you back as the user, whether say give you a notification in a channel you're in with it, or even just respond back to you saying, hey, I'm done. And that's one of the biggest advantages of the agent, because the agent can go out there and understand your intent, create a goal, create a series of tasks of what to do, and then achieve that goal. Another misconception is that the AI agent can replace your full entire team right off the bat. Well, on one hand, this is true, but on the other hand, there is some nuance. And this is what I mean when I said earlier that it's much more easier that when you're working with an AI agent, that it's easier just to plug and play into a business that's actually producing some sort of revenue traction. There's things happening inside a business on a day-to-day basis versus there's nothing happening. And it's because if you are getting a series of customer tickets, if you're getting a bunch of calls, if you have to sort through your prospect list of like tagging people who are the most qualified to get on a call with you versus not, then a lot of this stuff can be quite automated and properly categorized or just worked out through the AI agent, because it understands that, say, on a specific time on a daily basis, it goes out there and it executes this task, or it knows on specific events that trigger it, that can go out there and perform a certain job to completely remove the human from the loop. Because if these are just repeatable, automatable tasks, you can just put an agent in place of a human, save a bunch of time and money, and allocate that human labor elsewhere. On one hand, we're getting to a point where you can increase the order of magnitude of the size and scope of the roles that these agents can have within your business or organization. But on the other hand, they still excel at very repeatable and automatable tasks that are just very systematic, very repeatable, and you can easily put in place an automation like an AI agent to take care of it versus keeping a human in the loop of doing it. When it comes to key decisions or decisions that require big judgment, I wouldn't suggest putting an AI agent there just yet, but it doesn't mean it's impossible unless you put in the right system in place in order to manage and work through a very big decision. Because if this thing's going to be making $100,000 decisions for your business, then either you really have to know what you're doing, or you have to have a super strong system in place in order for it to properly know what to do. But for low-key decisions that say a virtual assistant overseas is doing, or something that can easily be removed from your day-to-day operations, so you're not just stuck in the weeds and you're just constantly feeling stuck in what you're doing, then yeah, put an AI agent in that. a fourth misconception is that people think you have to be technical in order to run these things. That's not true. If anything, and if you know anything about just chatting back and forth with these AIs, you can just simply prompt it to get it to configure its own configurations, to reset itself, to self-modify itself, to create the necessary skill files. On one hand, you still kind of have to know how to use the interface. I am a huge proponent of that, and being able to understand the technology that you're working with, so you can actually kind of understand, like, okay, like, this is what I can do, this is how you start it, this is how you stop it. You kind of want to know how you run and operate the thing, kind of like a car, but you're not probably going to know every little mechanical detail under the hood, or like what all these things do. Know how to at least drive, but you don't have to know how every single part functions and actually makes the car move. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing here. Even if you don't know how to install it or properly get it set up in a specific environment, you might as well know how to work with the configuration files, or like what the files as a whole even are, or what these meta concepts of like tools, skills even are. What even is memory? How does it actually capture the memory, and how does it persist through time? What even are skills? How can you write a skill? How can you get this thing to efficiently get work done that actually are meaningful to your business versus just a waste of time to work on? So things like this, it's good to understand. And even if you know at least, say, the 20% of what can produce 80% of the results when working with any agentic system, that's still going to get you further than a lot of people in the space, because they don't even understand the capabilities and like the power of what an AI agent can do, whether it's in your personal life or in a business. So you don't need to be technical to run one. If anything, you can just self-prompt it or use another AI system to get everything installed for you. For instance, let's say if I want to get OpenClaw or like some other system installed on my computer, what I would do is, like, if I'm completely non-technical but I know how to use AI, I would just download Claw Desktop, or like, say, I don't know, maybe Perplexity Computer or something like that. That's access to my computer. I would download one of these tools. I would prompt it to be like, hey, install this agentic framework on my computer or my server. I would let it control my whole entire computer to just install everything. Once everything is installed, I would just kind of monitor what the heck it's doing and either approve or deny certain things to happen. And then once it's fully installed, like, it's installed, like, it can control your computer, it can download things, it can access different files. You can use another AI to download a certain AI that you want on your computer or run in your business, if that makes any sense. So you kind of have to be creative here, but even if you were just to leverage other AI to give you instructions or just to take control over your computer to do something, that's more effective than just being there and doing nothing about it. And this one's for the late adopters, but for the late adopters who think that there are no actual real practical applications for the AI to go into your business, I know it sounds almost comical, but there are a set of people who are absolutely late to the whole AI agent scene that aren't doing anything about it. If you're getting 10 to 15 to 20 leads per day and you're not categorizing them properly to know whether or not they are high intent buyers or low intent buyers, if you're getting hundreds of customer service tickets every single day and you have 5 people that you're paying a full-time salary to manage these tickets on a weekly basis, if you're creating hundreds of ad creatives every single week because you're testing so much volume, if you're hiring developers to make small little tweaks on your website because something recently has changed, a lot of this work, believe it or not, can be taken over by an AI if you implement it into your business or your workflow. But the biggest thing here, like I said earlier, is you need to give it tools and skills in order to know what your brand guidelines are. How do you respond to people? What do you do when a lead comes in? How do you onboard a customer if, say, they submit a payment? So a lot of these functions in your business, they can definitely 100% somehow be automated, or you can put an AI in place of a human in order to speed up how fast you are getting work done, or drop down the costs and time it takes to fulfill something in your business. So if you don't believe you are ready for it, that is the wrong mindset to have. You are certainly ready for it, and it's only getting faster and better from here. So that's that for the video. 5 things business owners get wrong about AI agents. I hope that cleared up some things. I hope you found some useful information from the video. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you'd like to see more in the comments. By the way, if you'd like to get a free AI audit for your business to see where you can save some time and money, you can check out the link in my bio. It's at operationfi.com/audit. You can fill out some information. In about 60 seconds, you'll get an instant AI audit on your business. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.